me see. Well, I was a professional photographer for more than 40 years and did a lot of work with the United Nations. This is all pre-stroke. And also in tourism. So traveled to 84 different countries around the world on assignment. But I'm still taking photographs, and now I use my trusty iPhone camera, which is nice and light, and I can be more spontaneous with it instead of carrying around 30 to 50 pounds of camera equipment on my back, which I used to do. The stuff I did for United Nations was involved travel, but it also, I mean, I was doing specific photographs for like UNICEF would have a project going on in Senegal, for instance, and maybe UNDP would have another project going on in Senegal. So I would piggyback assignments in the same part of the world. And then I became involved in the travel industry, the travel world. So that was totally different. I mean, I stayed in 5-star hotels and was flown around by helicopter. Totally different. And now, of course, because I'm confined to a wheelchair, my traveling career has not entirely stopped, but it has certainly changed. My world has become a lot smaller, and I'm focusing in on small details. And so I use my iPhone camera to document things. So I'm more spontaneous in terms of taking photographs with the iPhone, which is because, I mean, before I would have to take the camera bag off my back, and I'd have to dig out the camera body, fit on the right lens, and by that time, if it has anything to do with action, it was gone. What inspires me now? I tend to go into more details, of course, because I mostly miss my long lenses of my regular big gun cameras that I used to carry around, and but I try and get up really close and tight, and so I've actually always focused on details, but that's how my photography has changed a lot. And also I enjoy taking advantage of the of things like Instagram to send out my photographs, or playing around with, or I'll put it on my iPad Pro, and then I'll put it into Procreate, and then do some fiddling around with the Procreate program, which is, you can put type on top of the photograph, or you can integrate it, you can change it. So I like using the new technology in terms of changing that whole perspective. I even put a photograph on a COVID mask called La Boca, which started with a photograph that I actually took in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and it's an area which is called La Boca, which means the mouth in Spanish. And so sure enough, I mean, it covers my mouth and my nose, but I transformed it. So I brought it into iPad and then kind of smudged the colors around, and then I added a little streak of red or yellow, whatever it was. And so I wear it every once in a while. I always have my cell phone with me. And so I might see something like yesterday. I was out in the morning and early afternoon, whenever it was, and I was looking up at the trees, and so I took a shot of the trees, and then I was coming back along the seawall, and I noticed the bright red leaves, so I took a shot of those. And during the beginning of the pandemic in March, gee, that seems so long ago, I took the opportunity to go down to Granville Island Public Market, which I pretty much went down to every morning for my morning cappuccino, and I was starting to document the inside of the market, what was happening with the vendors and the truckers who were bringing in fresh produce every day, and how everybody, pretty much everyone, managed to stay in business. And of course everyone had masks on, and there were lots of little tables that were set up with hand sanitizers, and I don't think I guess some social distancing going on too. So I got to know the vendors a lot better, and the security, fortunately. So now I can go in the outdoors. And also my background is in architecture. So I don't know if you remember the inside of the market, but it's like being inside a ship, or sometimes I look at it and I have a feeling I'm like on the inside of a whale with these big ribs of the along the ceiling, and the old machinery with the pulleys and the chains, which they've kept intact in the physical part of the market. Essentially, I began to right after my stroke, I was pretty much devastated and quite angry that it should happen to me. One never thinks, oh, what, stroke, and I had already survived 3 bouts of breast cancer and several other accidents that near death experiences, shall I say. So I thought, okay, well, stroke, this is a breeze. I'll get through this in a couple of months. Well, it's now been 10 years. And so I thought, well, okay, how can I take advantage of this new situation? And so aside from doing the book, okay, it's available on blurb.com or blurb.ca. It's more or less autobiographical. And so it was fun to do. I didn't touch, right after my stroke, when I started into recovery, I thought that's the last thing I want to do is take photographs. But then I thought, no, this is what I know. This is what I'm here for. So I actually taught the first disability photo workshop up at the Blouson Center here next to VGH. But after my stroke, I started to get back into photography and realized, the possibilities are really endless in photography. And I also had come to realize, primarily, I think with my work with the United Nations, that that you can, it is possible to change people's opinions, and it is possible to change the world. through imagery, through photographs. These 4 photographs I call lessons in light. And each one of them uses light in a different way. So I'm gonna hold up this one first of all. It's the only vertical one. And it's actually using light as heat. And I was going disability sailing this past summer down at Jericho Beach Sailing Club, and I noticed this catamaran that was coming, that they were pulling out and about to launch into the water. And I noticed that the jib, which is the small sail on the front, was silver. And I thought, silver. Well then I thought, okay, and when the sun, so then I realized when the sun shines on the silver, and then it reflects back on the mainsail or the mainsail, it actually creates a whole wind system, because warm air rises and it's replaced by cold air. And so it was really creating its whole wind system, which I think made the catamaran go a little faster. And so I'm going to also talk about this one here. This is I was waiting for a couple of friends on Davie Street, right near Urban Fair. And I was getting impatient, so I wheeled up the street, and I was looking in this window of a florist, place, and the light was behind me. And so it was also full. It was probably around noon, and so actually I can see. So it actually shows the flowers in the florist shop, plus what was going on behind me, and right even across the street. And there's some bicycles there, so that they were all behind me. So they were in the light. So this is using light in a different way. So, and this I took on Granville Island, and I had noticed this. I can't remember if it was a Harley. I don't think it was a Harley. I think it was something else, but it was just the owner of this motorcycle had polished it up. It was just like a jewel. And so I thought, So and actually you can see my legs and my feet and part of my wheelchair in the bottom part of the photograph. And then if I turn it upside down, you see me too. And because the image is reflected off various convex and concave surfaces, it gives a different image back. And actually the upside down photograph actually goes into infinity. So it's like a photograph inside a photograph inside a photograph inside a photograph. And so that's actually one of my favorite ones. That one I took right down here I live down near Fisherman's Wharf, and there is the fishermen's where they have their lockers, and I think they've been inspired by the Vancouver Mural Festival, so they have painted these corrugated walls with various imagery of fish and beautiful, absolutely beautiful imagery. And in part of the photograph, so and it's all on corrugated. Most of it is on corrugated siding or steel, and these giant fish are painted on there, and then the dark part is a side door that was like cut out of the wall, and when I looked at it, I thought, yeah, I could actually see, I can see a person. I could see actually a man's head with a white Panama hat on. And I could see all this in that dark part of the photograph. So that's so it's using light is head on, but a modulated surface. Working on another book project. It's called Lifelines, and it's totally different than all of these. So far I have 30 lifelines written out on my cards here, and I'm going to always like combining writing with imagery, and blowing it up or changing the concept of it, or using parts of letters. I did a lot of graphic design when I was able-bodied and younger and still living in New York, and so I would like to play around with that in terms of layering and so on. So that's a ongoing project, but I have most of the lifelines written down. Put a smile on your face first thing in the morning, and always look for the funny aspect. You might think, this is going to be a bad day. Well, you look for the funny aspect of some, maybe could be disaster in your family or yourself or whatever. Look for the funny side and don't give up. And so I would say, follow your passion, and many stroke survivors have found, that they really like to paint, and they've never taken the opportunity to paint, or they really like to photograph, but they've never really taken that opportunity to photograph, or they've always had this story that they want to tell, or poetry or music. I mean, there's many different forms of how should I say, creativity. So follow your passion would be my advice. There is a movie that was done about me this past year, and that's called Dannielle Hayes, A Life in Photography. So that will show you a little bit more about my work, and also I have a website, and I also have a YouTube channel.